The rain fell gently outside as Layla stood near the front door of her mother's house. It was the house she grew up in, the house full of memories. Today it was full of people, family, neighbors, even some folks she hadn't seen in years. They were all there for one reason, to celebrate her brother, Mal. There was a big blue banner across the living room wall that read, "Welcome home, hero. Thank you for saving the family house." Layla stood quietly, watching as her mother smiled and clapped. "That's my son," her mother said proudly to the crowd, "always stepping up when it matters most." The room filled with cheers and clapping. Malcolm stood in the middle, smiling wide, shaking hands, hugging people, thanking them for coming. Everyone was proud of him. Everyone believed he had saved the family house from being taken away. Everyone thought he had paid the debt and made it right. But it wasn't true. Layla's smile was small and forced. She clapped softly, but her hands felt heavy, her heart even heavier. Malcolm was holding the house key in his hand, showing it off like a trophy. "It's all about family," he said. "When it's time to step up, you do what you gotta do." People nodded and praised him. Someone even called him a real man. Layla looked away, swallowing her emotions. The truth sat quietly inside her chest like a locked box. Only she knew what was really inside. It was her who had paid the money to save the house. 2 years ago, when their mother had called her in tears, saying a foreclosure notice had been nailed to the door, it was Layla who jumped into action. She had just finished a long hospital shift and was still wearing her scrubs when she drove straight to the courthouse. She didn't think twice. She used her savings, sold her car, and even borrowed a little just to cover it. $30,000. Gone. Just like that. And Malcolm? He didn't even answer the phone that week. He had been handling business out of town. Later, he promised to send some money soon. But it never came. Layla never told anyone, except her mother. She didn't ask for thanks. She didn't want praise. But she also didn't expect this. A big party, a huge lie, and everyone thinking Malcolm had been the hero. Her Aunt Cecile came over and touched her arm. "Aren't you proud of your brother?" she said, smiling. "He's done so much for the family." Layla nodded politely. Yes, very proud. She wanted to scream, but she didn't. Instead, she walked into the kitchen and stared at the counter. Her hands were shaking. Her breath came in short, quiet puffs. She opened the fridge, closed it again, then just stood still. It wasn't just the lie that hurt. It was how easy it had become to erase her, to overlook everything she had done. All the hard work, all the quiet sacrifices, forgotten. She heard Malcolm's voice in the next room, laughing loudly, telling stories, saying things like, "I knew I had to do what was right." Layla bit her lip. She remembered the moment clearly. Sitting at the courthouse, signing papers with tears in her eyes. The clerk had looked at her and said, "You're a good daughter." She was, but no one in that room knew it. Her mother came into the kitchen quietly and stood beside her. "I didn't know it was going to be this big," her mother said softly. "I just asked your cousin to bring some food." Layla didn't look at her. "You let everyone think he saved the house." Her mother sighed. "He's back now. Maybe he'll stay this time. Maybe he'll finally settle down and take care of things." Layla turned to her, hurt flashing across her face. "Mama, he didn't give a dime. He didn't even call. I sold my car. I stayed up night after night working doubles. I gave up everything for this house. And you're standing here letting people clap for it." "I didn't want to fight today," her mother said, voice low. "You know how hard things have been. You know what it means for a black man to feel like he did something. Just let him have this." Layla stared at her mother. "So I'm supposed to stay quiet forever?" Her mother didn't answer. Layla felt like the ground was moving under her. All her life, she had been the one who stayed. The one who worked hard, kept things together, made the right choices. And all her life, it seemed like no one really saw her. "I'm tired of being the one who disappears," Layla whispered. Her mother reached for her hand, but Layla pulled back. She didn't want comfort. Not now. Not when the truth was being buried again. In the living room, Malcolm was raising a glass. "To family," he shouted. "To keeping what's ours." Layla walked back to the doorway and looked at him. He smiled at her, like he had done something wonderful, like she should be proud. She didn't smile back. She just stood there, heart heavy, fists clenched at her sides, and one thought burning in her mind. This house wasn't saved by a man. It was saved by a woman who gave up everything. Layla grew up in this house. Every crack in the walls, every spot on the carpet, every old photo in the hallway, she knew them all. It wasn't just a house to her. It was a part of her. Even when life got hard, this place felt like home. She was the youngest of two. Her brother Malcolm was 5 years older. Growing up, people always praised him. He was loud, funny, charming. The kind of boy who made everyone smile. Layla was the quiet one, always reading, always helping their mother in the kitchen or cleaning up after family gathering. Their father left when Layla was 10. He walked out one day and never came back. After that, things got harder. Their mother, Gloria, worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table and the lights on. Layla remembered nights when there wasn't enough to eat. But even then, Their mother kept the house warm and full of love. Malcolm left right after high school. He said he had big plans. "I'm gonna make it big," he said, grinning with a backpack over his shoulder. "Don't worry, I'll come back and take care of everything." He didn't come back for a long time. Layla stayed. She went to community college, got her nursing degree, and worked at the local hospital. She helped her mom with bills, groceries, doctor's visits. There were months when she didn't even have enough money for herself, but she made sure the house was taken care of. She didn't complain. That wasn't her way. She just worked harder. Over time, she stopped waiting for Malcolm to come back. She accepted that it was just her and her mom now. And that was okay. They had a rhythm. Mornings with coffee and gospel music, evenings with old TV shows and quiet talks about nothing. They didn't have much, but they had each other. Then the letter came from the bank. Layla still remembered the day. Her mother called her at work, voice shaking. "Layla," she said, "they're going to take the house. We're 3 months behind." Her chest had tightened. She left work early, picked up her mom, and drove straight to the courthouse. The woman behind the counter told them they had 30 days to pay everything or the house would be sold. Malcolm didn't answer the phone when she called. She stayed up that night going through her savings. She called the bank and asked for every detail. In 2 weeks, she had gathered the money, sold her car, took every penny she had saved for a new apartment, even borrowed from a coworker. She didn't tell anyone except her mother. Her mother cried when she handed over the receipt from the courthouse. "You saved us," she said, hugging her tight. Layla smiled, but inside she felt empty. It wasn't that she needed praise. She just needed someone to see her. Now, 2 years later, Malcolm was back, and the story had changed. He showed up one afternoon out of the blue, driving a rented car and wearing designer shoes. He hugged their mother, told her he was doing better now, had a few business ideas, and wanted to help out. The next thing Layla knew, her mom was planning a dinner, and suddenly the family believed Malcolm had saved the house. He didn't correct them. Not once. Layla tried to stay calm, but inside she was hurt. Not just by Malcolm, but by her mother too. Why didn't she speak up? Why didn't she tell the truth? The answer was always the same. "He's trying," her mother would say. "Let him feel useful. He needs this." Layla didn't understand why Malcolm's feelings mattered more than her truth. At work, Layla was known for her calm and steady hand. Patients loved her. Nurses trusted her. She gave everything she had to her job, just like she did at home. But sometimes, she wondered if anyone really saw her beyond what she could do for them. Even her best friend Tasha once said, "You're too nice, Layla. People walk all over you because you let them." Maybe it was true. But Layla didn't want to be bitter. She didn't want to become someone who yelled or threw things just to be heard. That wasn't her way. She believed in quiet strength, in doing what was right, even when no one noticed. Still, this moment was testing her. Malcolm acted like nothing had happened. He joked around, talked big about future plans, mentioned starting a business with a friend. He said things like, "We gotta protect this house, make it part of our family legacy." Layla wanted to scream. "You didn't protect anything." She did. But every time she looked at her mother's face, she stayed quiet. Gloria looked happy again, smiling like the weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Layla didn't want to take that away, even if it meant swallowing her pain. At night, when the house was quiet, Layla lay awake in her childhood bedroom. The walls were still painted pale blue. Posters from her teenage years still hung on the wall. She stared at the ceiling and wondered how long she could keep holding in the truth. She thought about her father, how he left and never looked back, how Malcolm had done the same. And yet, somehow, they were both still talked about like they were strong men who tried their best. But what about her? Who would tell her story? Who would say she was the one who stayed, who worked, who saved, who kept everything from falling apart? She didn't want a party. She didn't want a banner or a speech. She just wanted the truth to matter. One day it would. And when it did, she wouldn't need anyone's applause. She would know who she was, and that would be enough. It was a Sunday afternoon, warm and bright. The sky was clear, and the neighborhood buzzed with energy. Kids rode bikes. Music played from a few porches, and the smell of barbecue drifted through the air. Malcolm decided to throw a cookout for the family, as he called it. He wanted to thank everyone for holding it down while he was away. Layla helped set up the tables in the backyard. She moved quietly, listening to the laughter and greetings, her face calm but her chest tight. She didn't want to be here. She didn't want to play along anymore. But her mother asked her to help, and Layla always helped. More people arrived than she expected. Cousins, neighbors, even church folks from years ago. People hugged Malcolm, patted him on the back, and told him how proud they were. "Man of the house," someone said. "Real blessing, coming back and fixing what needed fixing." Layla bit her tongue. Again, Tasha, her best friend, showed up around 3. She wore big sunglasses and carried a tray of baked macaroni. She walked straight over to Layla and gave her a hug. "You okay?" Tasha whispered. Layla nodded but didn't speak. Tasha could see something was off, but she didn't push. She just stood beside her, helping her fill drinks and pass out plates. An hour later, Malcolm stood on a small step in the backyard with a plastic cup in his hand. "Can I get everybody's attention?" he shouted. The crowd quieted down. He smiled big, flashing the charm he was known for. "I just want to say thank you for being here," he said. "This house means everything to me. I grew up here. We all did. And when I found out it was in trouble, I knew I had to step in." Layla froze. "I didn't do it for the praise," Malcolm continued. "I did it because this is home. Mama needed help, and I couldn't let her lose everything she worked for. So I did what I had to do. I paid off the debt, saved the house, and I'm planning to fix it up real soon." The crowd clapped and cheered. People raised their cups. Someone shouted, "You the man, Malcolm." Layla couldn't move. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking. She stared at her brother, unable to believe he just stood there and told the lie out loud, in front of everyone. Tasha leaned in close. "Wait, what?" Layla didn't answer. Malcolm kept going. "We're going to turn this house into a place for family. I'm thinking cookouts, holidays, maybe even some rentals down the line. Gotta build that generational wealth, you feel me?" More claps. More cheers. Layla's mother stood nearby, smiling nervously, not saying a word. Tasha looked at Layla again. "Girl, did he really just take credit for your money?" Layla's voice was low. "He didn't pay a single dollar." Tasha's eyes widened. "And you're just gonna let him stand there and lie like that?" Layla felt something break inside her. It was small at first, like a tiny crack in glass. But then it spread, fast and sharp. She was done. She was tired. She had stayed quiet too long. She stepped forward, her voice rising before she could stop it. "That's not true." People turned. Malcolm blinked. "Huh." Layla looked around. He didn't save the house. The backyard fell silent. "I did," she said, her voice shaking but loud enough. "I paid the $30,000. I sold my car, emptied my savings, and worked night shifts to cover the rest." Gasps. Eyes turned toward her. "I did it 2 years ago, when Mama called me crying because the house was about to be taken." Malcolm didn't answer the phone. He didn't even show up until after everything was fixed. Malcolm stepped off the step, trying to smile. "Come on, Layla. What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the truth," she said. "You didn't pay anything. You didn't even know the house was in trouble. And now you're out here acting like some kind of hero." His smile faded. "We're family. Why are you bringing this up now?" "Because I'm tired," Layla said. "Tired of working, sacrificing, and being invisible. Tired of letting you lie while people clap for you. You didn't earn that applause. And Mama, you should have said something too." Her mother looked down, lips pressed tight. Someone in the crowd spoke softly. "Is that true?" Layla nodded. "Ask the bank. Ask the courthouse. My name is on every receipt." The backyard stayed quiet. Malcolm looked around, no longer smiling. "You really trying to embarrass me like this?" "No," Layla said. "I'm just telling the truth. For once." Tasha stepped up beside her, crossing her arms. "She shouldn't have to stay quiet, so you can look good." The mood had changed. People started whispering. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked at Layla with new eyes. Malcolm ran a hand over his face. "Damn, Layla, you really held all that in." "I thought it didn't matter," she said. "I thought being the responsible one was enough. But now I see, being quiet just makes it easier for people like you to shine while people like me get ignored." Her mother finally spoke. "Layla, baby." Layla looked at her. "I love you, Mama. I did it for you. But I'm not going to pretend anymore." She turned, walked back inside the house, and closed the door behind her. The noise of the backyard faded. Her hands were still shaking, but she felt lighter. She went to the hallway and looked at the old family photo hanging by the stairs. In it, Malcolm was smiling big. She was 5 years old, sitting quietly on the floor beside him. Even back then, he was the star. But now she had found her voice. And this time, she wasn't giving it back. Layla sat on the edge of her childhood bed, staring at the floor. The sounds of people still talking in the backyard came in through the window, but she tried to block them out. Her hands were in her lap, fingers twisting over and over. Her heart was still racing from what she had just done. For years, she had stayed silent. Let others take the credit. Let herself be overlooked. But not this time. She had spoken the truth. In front of everyone, she expected to feel relief, but instead, her chest felt tight. Not from regret, but from everything that was about to come. A soft knock came at the door. It opened slowly. Her mother stood there, holding a glass of water. "You okay?" she asked gently. Layla didn't answer. She just looked at the glass, then back at her mother's face. Gloria stepped in and sat on the edge of the bed beside her. She placed the glass on the nightstand and sighed. "You didn't have to do that in front of everyone," she said. "I did," Layla said quietly. "If I didn't, no one would have ever known." Her mother looked down at her hand. Malcolm was just trying to do something good. He wanted to come home and be a man for once. "I didn't think it would go that far." Layla's voice cracked. And I was just supposed to keep playing along? I thought it wouldn't hurt to let him feel like he did something wrong. But it hurts me, Layla said, louder this time. It always hurts me. You act like his pride is more important than my truth. Her mother didn't say anything. You knew I was struggling, Mama. I worked myself into exhaustion. I cried in my car before every shift. I gave up everything to save this house. And you let everyone think it was him. I'm sorry, her mother whispered. I didn't know how to fix it. Layla shook her head. You didn't even try. The room went quiet. Only the faint hum of voices outside filled the silence. Then Gloria said something Layla didn't expect. I was ashamed. Layla looked at her. Ashamed of what? That you had to do it alone, she said. That my daughter had to carry the weight that should have been mine. I should have been the one to fix things, not you. But I couldn't. And when Malcolm came back, I thought maybe he could finally be the son I hoped he'd be. Layla blinked, tears welling in her eyes. But I've been right here, Mama. I've always been here. Why didn't that count? Her mother reached for her hand, and this time Layla didn't pull away. It counts, she said softly. More than you know. I just didn't want to face what it meant for you to be the one saving me. They sat there for a while, not talking. Layla leaned her head back against the wall and closed her eyes. The door opened again. This time it was Malcolm. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood there in the doorway with his hands in his pocket. Can I talk to you? He asked. Layla sat up straight, wiped her eyes, and nodded once. Gloria stood. I'll give y'all some space. She left the room and gently closed the door behind her. Malcolm walked in and sat in the chair across from the bed. He looked tired, less like the loud, confident man from earlier, and more like the boy who used to sneak into her room when he had nightmares. I didn't mean for it to get like that, he said. I wanted to come home and be something. You didn't have to lie to be something, Layla said. I didn't lie on purpose at first, he said. When people started thanking me, I didn't correct them. I guess it felt good to be seen like that for once. To be the one people were proud of. Layla looked at him, eyes sharp. So it felt good to take credit for something you didn't do? While I stood there invisible, he ran a hand over his face. I know I messed up. She crossed her arms. Do you even know what it cost me? I was sleeping 3 hours a night. My back still hurts from the extra shifts. I gave up a better job offer across town because I didn't have a car anymore. And not once did you ask how I was doing. I didn't know, he said quietly. You didn't want to know, she replied. Malcolm didn't answer. He looked at the floor, shame all over his face. I wasn't trying to hurt you, he said after a long pause. I just thought, maybe if I stepped up now, it would fix everything. Layla stood up and walked to the window. The backyard was mostly empty now. Just a few people gathering their things and heading home. You can't fix the past with lies, she said. I know, he said. I want to make it right. She turned around. Then stop pretending. Stop talking about plans and legacy if you're not actually doing anything. Be real. Help Mama. Help me. Show up for once in your life. I will, he said. I promise. Layla looked at him for a long moment. She wanted to believe him. She really did. But she had heard so many promises before. From their father. From Malcolm. From life itself. She was tired of waiting for people to change. If you really mean it, she said, start by telling the truth. To the rest of the family. Let them know it wasn't you who saved the house. He nodded slowly. Okay. Layla waited. I'll tell them, he said again, voice more steady. I owe you that. She sat back down, her body heavy with emotion. Thank you, she said. That's all I ever wanted. Not praise, just honesty. They sat in silence for a while. The sun began to set, casting soft orange light through the window. Then he asked, do you hate me? She shook her head. No, I just don't trust you. Not yet. He nodded. Fair enough. Later that evening, Malcolm called a few family members. Some didn't answer. Some were still talking about what had happened. But the ones who did answer listened quietly as he explained. He said the truth, clearly and simply. Layla paid the debt. Layla saved the house. Layla was the reason they still had a home to return to. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it mattered. Layla sat next to her mother on the couch, watching Malcolm on the phone, hearing him tell the truth at last. Gloria reached over and squeezed her hand. I'm proud of you, she said. I should have said it sooner. Layla leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. It's okay. I just needed to hear it now. Outside, the air was cooler. The backyard was empty, the chairs folded, the food packed up. But inside the house, something had shifted. The silence that used to hide so much now felt honest. Open. Real. Layla didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like the weight she had carried alone was finally being shared. And that was a start. 2 days passed after the cookout. Things were quieter, but tension still filled the air inside the house. Layla kept to herself, going to work and coming home tired. Malcolm had been trying to help around the house, fixing the leaky sink, sweeping the porch, but it still felt awkward between them. The truth had been said, but the wound was still fresh. Then on Thursday evening, something happened that none of them saw coming. Layla had just gotten home from a long shift at the hospital. She kicked off her shoes and dropped her bag near the couch. Her mother was in the kitchen cooking, humming softly to an old gospel song. Malcolm was in the living room watching something on his phone. There was a knock at the door. Layla looked at the clock. It was nearly 8 p.m. She opened the door and saw a man in a navy blue suit, holding a clipboard. "Good evening," he said politely. "I'm looking for Mr. Malcolm James." Malcolm stood up quickly. "That's me." The man handed him an envelope. "You've been served. Have a good night." Then he walked away without another word. Layla and Gloria both stared at Malcolm, who stood frozen, holding the thick envelope in his hand. "What is it?" Gloria asked, her voice soft. Malcolm didn't answer. He opened the envelope, pulled out the papers, and read for a few seconds. His face went pale. "What's going on?" Layla asked, stepping closer. "It's from Calvin," Malcolm said finally. "My old business partner." He dropped onto the couch, the papers shaking in his hand. "He's suing me. Claims I stole money from one of our deals." Gloria gasped. "What?" "Malcolm, what kind of deal?" Malcolm leaned back, rubbing his face. "It was supposed to be a real estate thing, a flip project. We borrowed money from some people, invested in a property. But the deal went bad, and Calvin blamed me." Layla felt her stomach twist. "So, do you owe money?" "Yes," Malcolm said. "Almost 20,000. He says I was the one responsible for paying it back." "And are you?" Layla asked. He didn't answer right away. "I was supposed to make the payments," he said finally. "But I didn't. I thought I'd be able to pay him back once I got on my feet. So you came here, let people believe you paid for the house through a party, all while knowing you were being sued?" Layla asked. Malcolm looked at her, guilt in his eyes. "I didn't know the papers were coming this soon." Gloria sat down slowly at the table. Her face looked tired. "Lord have mercy," she whispered. Layla folded her arms. "So that's why you came back? Because you had nowhere else to go?" He nodded. "I lost my apartment. I couldn't keep up with the rent. I figured maybe I could come home for a while, help out around here, and figure out my next step. But instead," Layla said, "you played hero. Let everyone praise you, even when your life was falling apart." "I thought maybe if I fixed something, I could feel useful again," Malcolm said. "I didn't plan to lie at first. But then the attention came, and I was too ashamed to tell the truth." Gloria was quiet, looking down at the floor. "So what now?" Layla asked. Malcolm looked up. "I don't know. I need a lawyer. But I can't afford one. If I don't show up in court, they'll win by default." Layla shook her head. "This just keeps getting worse." He stood up suddenly. "I'm not asking you for help, Layla. I swear. I'm not putting this on you." "Good," she said. "Because I've already paid enough for your mistakes." "I know," he said. "And I'm sorry. I messed up." Again, there was silence for a while. Then Gloria said, "This house, it's still in my name. But if anything happens to me, it goes to both of you. I need to know it'll be safe." Layla looked at her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to talk about what happens next. I'm not going to be here forever. And this house can't be saved again if we keep lying to each other." Malcolm sat back down. "I'll find a way to fix this. I'll get a job. Any job. I'll make things right, Mama. I promise." Gloria nodded slowly. "I want to believe you." Layla looked at him for a long time. She saw the fear behind his eyes, the shame, maybe even some honesty. "You don't have to prove anything to me with words," she said. "Do the work. Show us." He nodded. The next day, Malcolm went out early. He came back in the afternoon with an application for a warehouse job nearby. It wasn't flashy, but it was something. He started helping more around the house without being asked, fixing things properly, taking out the trash, making dinner when Layla worked late. The family started to slowly see the change. And while Layla didn't forgive him fully, something inside her softened. But the twist wasn't just Malcolm's legal trouble. 2 weeks later, Gloria sat Layla down in the kitchen. "I went to the doctor," she said. Layla looked up from her coffee. "And they found something," her mother said, voice calm but serious. "A small lump. They're running more tests." Layla's heart dropped. "What kind of lump?" "They're not sure yet. Could be nothing. But I have to go in for a biopsy next week." Layla reached across the table and grabbed her mother's hand. "You should have told me sooner." "I didn't want to worry you," Gloria said. "But now I think we all need to be honest. About everything. No more secrets." Layla nodded, holding back tears. In just a few weeks, so much had changed. The lie about the house, the lawsuit, the illness, they all came out like a wave crashing through their lives. But maybe that was what they needed. No more pretending. No more hiding. Only the truth. No matter how hard it was. Layla sat on the front porch one morning, sipping tea and listening to the birds. The sun was rising, soft and golden. The house felt different now. Not just because things had changed, but because she had changed. It had been a few weeks since everything came out. Since the truth about Malcolm, the lawsuit, and their mother's health had shaken the family. But slowly, things were settling. Malcolm was working full-time now. The warehouse job was tiring, but he showed up every day, even when he was sore or frustrated. He stopped talking about big business plans and started talking about real things, like saving money, learning better habits, and helping around the house. He apologized again, not with fancy words, but with small actions. He washed dishes without being asked. He picked up medicine for their mother. He offered to drive Layla to work when it rained. Layla still didn't trust him completely, but she saw the effort. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was carrying everything alone. Her mother had gone for the biopsy, and thankfully, the results came back non-cancerous. The relief was huge. They cried together in the doctor's office, and Gloria held Layla's hand tightly and said, "We've got more time, baby. Let's use it right." That day, Layla decided to do something she had always put off. She enrolled in an online program to finish her master's degree in nursing. It was something she'd dreamed of for years, but always pushed aside because of money, work, or family responsibility. But now, she realized she didn't have to wait anymore. She was allowed to want more for herself. One evening, after work, Layla came home to find dinner already made. Malcolm had cooked. The table was set, and Gloria was sitting comfortably with a blanket over her lap. Malcolm looked up. "Hey, you good?" Layla smiled a little. "Yeah, I'm good." They sat down and ate together. No yelling, no lies, no tension. Just a quiet, warm dinner. It felt simple. It felt peaceful. After dinner, Gloria leaned back in her chair and said, "I want to update my will." Layla and Malcolm looked at her, surprised. "I want to be clear about who owns this house when I'm gone," she said. "No more guessing. No more fighting." "Mama, don't talk like that," Malcolm said gently. "I'm not going anywhere soon," she said, smiling. "But I've learned that secrets do more harm than good. So I want to be honest." She looked at Layla. "You saved this house. You gave up more than anyone. So I want to leave it in your name." Layla's eyes widened. "Mama, I've made up my mind," Gloria said. "But I want you to promise something. If anything happens to me, let Malcolm stay here as long as he needs. Help him if he's still trying. But the house should be yours." Malcolm looked down. He didn't argue. "That's fair," he said. "I messed up. I'm just glad we still have each other." Tears filled Layla's eyes. She reached out and grabbed both their hands. "We've all made mistakes," she said. "But we're here. We're healing. That's what matters now." They sat there for a long time, hands joined, hearts soft. The next weekend, Layla bought a small tree and planted it in the backyard. A fig tree, just like the one their grandmother used to have. She wanted it to grow with them, to be something living that marked this new chapter. Malcolm helped her dig the hole and water it. Gloria sat nearby, watching with a smile. "This house has seen a lot," Layla said as they finished. "But maybe now it can start seeing better days." Malcolm nodded. One day at a time. Layla stood back and looked at the tree, her hands covered in dirt, her heart finally light. She had spoken her truth. She had stood up for herself. She had made room for her own dreams. And now she was planting roots, not just in the ground, but in her own life. This was her home. And finally, she felt at peace in it. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind Layla used to dream about when life felt too loud and heavy. The sky was soft with clouds, and a cool breeze moved through the open windows. The house smelled like cinnamon and fresh bread. Her mother was humming in the kitchen. Malcolm was outside fixing the garden fence. Layla stood in the hallway, looking at an old photo hanging on the wall. It was one of the few family pictures where everyone looked truly happy. She was just a child in the photo, maybe 7 or 8, standing between Malcolm and their parents. They were all smiling, arms around each other. So much had changed since that day. Her father was gone. Her brother had stumbled and hurt her more than once. Her mother had made choices Layla didn't always agree with. And Layla, she had carried more than she ever planned to. But somehow they were still here, still standing, still trying. She touched the edge of the photo frame and took a deep breath. Later that afternoon, she walked outside to the backyard. The fig tree she planted with Malcolm was still small, but new green leaves had started to grow. She reached down and gently touched one of them. It reminded her of herself, still growing, still learning, still standing in the dirt of the past, but reaching toward something better. Malcolm came over, wiping his hands with a towel. "It's coming in strong," he said, nodding toward the tree. "Yeah," Layla said. "It's doing better than I expected." He sat down on the porch steps beside her. For a moment, they just sat there in silence, listening to birds in the distance and the sound of wind moving through the leaves. "I've been thinking a lot," Malcolm said finally. "About everything." Layla glanced at him but didn't speak. "I know I messed up," he continued, "and I still got a lot to make right. But I want you to know, I don't take any of this for granted. You saved this house. You saved Mama. You even gave me space to start over." She looked down at her hands. "You needed that space. We all do sometimes. I was so lost before," Malcolm said. And I kept thinking I had to look like I had it all together. That's why I lied. But now, I just want to be honest. Even if it means admitting I'm not the man I thought I was. Layla nodded slowly. That's a good place to start. I hope one day you can really forgive me. I think I already have, she said. At least a little. He gave her a small, grateful smile. Later that night, Layla sat on her bed with a notebook open on her. She had started journaling again, something she hadn't done in years. Writing helped her slow down, to remember who she was underneath the stress and silence. She wrote about the house, about the fight, about finally speaking up. She wrote about her mother's strength and her brother's mistakes, about her own. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this emotional family drama, don't forget to like, share, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more powerful, drama-filled stories. Coming up next, her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip, so she booked one seat beside. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned, stay real, and see you in the next one. Bye!